14 back to the 1200 at the Everest. Really going to suit her because she's very explosive. She's got a great record up there at Randwick. And as owners, we can't wait to enjoy it.
With another edition of the Everest Connections, I'm AP Harold. Another fantastic horseman is with us, Brad Spicer, Managing Director of Spicer Thoroughbreds. Appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks, AP. Looking forward to the chat, and obviously looking forward to hopefully heading to the Everest.
Absolutely. Well, first, let's start with a little whimsy from the Memsie Stakes, where Snapdancer led wire to wire and held off a very hard-charging I'm Thunderstruck. Was it your guys' plan to jump out front and hold on?
Yeah, look, she had a bit of a residual fitness from the winter campaign, so we wanted to really try and use that. There's a lot of staying horses and horses with other sort of targets for the spring, so we made that our target, and luckily we pulled it off.
You know, and I looked at that distance, 1,400 meters. Of course, the Everest is a bit shorter at 1,200 meters. My next question, obviously, this is the Everest Connections. How many phone calls have you had, especially after the Memsie, with people saying, hey, what's it going to take to get Snapdancer in there?
Yeah, look, fortunate for us, the phone's been ringing hot, AP. So, yeah, look, it's an interesting concept that you've got to go through a business deal now. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get it done. But I'm really confident we're just about there. And I think the 14 back to the 1200 at the Everest really going to suit her because she's very explosive. She's got a great record up there at Randwick. And as owners, we can't wait to enjoy it.
I guess timing is everything in life, and it's suddenly now like you're the prettiest girl at the dance with that recent performance at the Memsie, and so the leverage is squarely in your camp.
Yeah, look, she put together a great body of work the last 12 months, and she's really put her hand up for a race like the Everest. So I'm glad now she's there. She's done the job at Group 1 level a couple of occasions, just recently, and really stamped herself as one of the best sprinting mares in Australia.
You've had two fascinating careers, and we'll get to them in a second. Obviously, one is bloodstock guy, but they both have to do with something that most of us take for granted. When we go out to the racetrack, most of us are just there to have a good time, and we don't think about all the work and money and effort and sweat and toil that's been put into these majestic animals. And when we run our waters, take a shower, or just to wash our dishes, we don't think too much about the plumbing. You started as a plumber. Both of these careers, though, are very hands-on. And a lot of hard work. What did you learn from your first career that you've applied now to horse racing?
Yes, AP, very different careers, but I suppose they're very similar in the fact that you got to work hard. So plumbing taught me to work hard. I learned that from my father. My father was a very hard worker. So I had that work ethic that transferred over to the racing. And of course, as you know, racing's all encompassing. And so, it's full on 24/7, 7 days a week, most days. And that really, I suppose, holds me in good stead for what I'm doing now in the bloodstock industry.
And I know you take a lot of pride in customer service with your clients. I would assume it's a lot like back in the plumbing business. You might get that call at 2 a.m. And if somebody's a good customer, you're going to come out there. What are some of the things that you have to do to hold the hands of people? Because sometimes you got people with a lot of money. That's what it takes to be involved in high-end horse racing, but not a lot of experience with these animals. And so you've got to be, I guess, a little bit of a dime store psychologist as well, right?
You do. Yeah. For the larger crews of owners and syndicates, you've got to be an educator and really take them right through on the journey from start to finish, and be a teacher of the game. And then the higher end clients, obviously, they've been involved for a long time and they know the game back to front. So it's a little bit easier, but I enjoy both sides of the spectrum.
What I noticed when I was researching you is how much you love the business and how much you value the expertise of others. Let's start with Leon Corstens, the former chief aide to the legendary trainer Burt Cummings. He's a mentor of yours. What are some of the things that, as you watched him, you applied to your own trade?
Yeah, hard work. He's probably the hardest working 74-year-old now that I know. And he's still going strong as an ox. He's like a 21-year-old bull, Leon. So hard work. And obviously Bart Cummings was a legend trainer here in Australia and right around the world, really. And obviously Leon did 25 years with Bart, and some of the learnings that he, obviously got from Bart, I've really taken into my role as well. Patience is the key. Patience doesn't cost anything. So you give the horses time and they'll repay you further on down the track. And I think a lot's there's a lot of emphasis on data these days with horses, and Leon's old school. He loves to get down with the horse when it finishes work, listen to the horse breathing, feel the horse, look at his eye, look at the horse's mannerisms. And I think there's a lot to be said about data, but that's the hands-on approach that I love.
This is the Everest Connections. I'm AP Harold. He's Brad Spicer, Managing Director of Spicer Thoroughbreds. Well, Brad, patience may not cost anything, but horses do cost money, whether we're buying them in pounds, euros, American dollars, Australian dollars, they do cost. Another one of your mentors, George Smith, legendary buyer. What did you learn from him that you apply when you go out to the sales?
Yeah, I learned a lot from George. It was like doing a Harvard degree with George AP, because there's no college to go to learn how to look at yearlings. So I had to do sort of 7 years under George here in Australia, and I was like a sponge. I was just taking it all in and learning, the gifts that he was giving me. And there was so many. And just to mention a few, he really emphasised the attitude of the horse. So if we're at a yearling sale, he said, Brad, now go around and see the horse early in the morning, check out its box. How's the box looking? If the shavings are all messed up, it means he's a bit of a restless horse, and maybe you want to miss him and go on to another one. So that was a really big thing for me, and maybe just doing all the 1%ers, but and also looking at a horse and judging the horse by its outside. If it's nice and healthy on the outside, it means its inside's healthy. So, they're two small things. But look, there's probably another 50 little checkpoints I could go through, and we probably don't have enough time. I could talk about George for the next 2 hours, but he is a legend, and I owe him everything, to be sitting here talking to you.
Brad, there's an expression that I think is from the American Wild West, but it may be applicable to Australia or any place in the world with horses. It's a man does not want an opinion on a horse he has already bought. When you buy a house, you have an inspection period. Can you walk us through the final dotting of the contract, crossing the T's, putting the dot on the I when it goes from one owner to another, and then it's just tough luck? If you have buyer's regrets, you've already bought the animal.
Yeah, obviously, if you're buying privately, you go through a contract. But if I'm buying at a yearling sale, that's the gavel goes down and then it's ours. And then we go off and we have to get the horse broken in, select a trainer, and then obviously find some owners, or hopefully we've already got an owner once the gavel goes down. But it's a tough pill to swallow, because you've got 18 months sometimes before you find out if the horse is any good or if it's got a motor. So that can be the hardest period in racing, but I tell all the owners, just enjoy the journey, whether it be, you have a successful career on the racetrack or you don't. You've really just got to enjoy it.
So at the auction, when that gavel goes down, it's a final. So I'd assume there's several days, or at least a number of hours, where you and other buyers can get up there and put some hands and eyes on the animal to assess what you may or may not be purchasing.
Yeah, so look, I'll probably spend 5 days at an auction, and there might be 500 horses catalogued. We'll dumb that down probably to 100 horses by the last day. Would have inspected them sort of 3 to 4 times maximum, and then I'll hand my vets my final list, which might be 50 horses. X-rays in this day and age really play a part, so we generally go with what the vets tell us. We don't want to bring home any train wrecks, and we might end up with 30 horses to bid on. And then it's about finding the value and getting the budget aligned with your budget when you go in the auction ring. And look, you can get carried away, and there's been a few times that I've gone above budget and had to work my bum off to get the horses sold. But generally the ones that you really go above and beyond for, the ones you just love, and they're outstanding, and they've been some of our best horses in history.
You are the managing director, so it's going to be your say finally, but who is somebody internally or perhaps outside your organization you lean on to get some perspective on, hey, at what point do I say, I guess the other guy just wants that horse more and I'm not going to overbid?
Yeah, look, I don't really talk to too many people about that. Obviously when you go to a sale, you want to keep your budgets pretty private and internal. So I've got a gut feeling. I will do a lot of homework. So every night after the sale finishes, I'll look at my next day lots, and then I'll go through and do the research on what those horses and the broodmares have had progeny sell for at recent years, and get a bit of a ballpark idea. And obviously the markets have really grown exponentially right around the world. I reckon there's been a 30% spike in yearling sales in the last 3 years. So it's hard to get a handle on, but you've just got to stick to your guns and stick to your own budgets. and it seems to work. So I don't really want to change it.
Brad Spicer, our guest, he's managing director of Spicer Thoroughbreds. This is the Everest Connections. Let's get back to Snapdancer. I'm sure there's several slot holders that would be particularly interested in her. Obviously, money is a component of any deal, but how much of a factor is their vision aligning with yours in terms of how they want the horse to attack the race, who the jockey might be, those sort of things? How much of that is a factor?
I think it's a big factor, AP. Look, we're just going through all that at the moment, and hopefully I've got some more news for you next week if we get that all signed, sealed, and delivered. But we're in negotiations at the moment, and that is a factor. They want the jockey that's been on the horse and had success with the horse, which is what we do as well. So I think the values align between both parties, and once you can get those values aligned, I think you can get the deal done. And we're nearly there. So look, next 24 hours, 48 hours, I think there'll be an announcement, and hopefully we can get it all done.
The clock is ticking. 48 hours, 2 days. That's great. A lot of people say that the horse makes the name. Some say that the name makes the horse. Snapdancer, certainly a snappy, fun name. Can you give us the origin, the background on the name?
Yeah, look, wasn't too much thought got into this one, AP. The mare that she's out of is a Snapdragon. So that was a pretty simple one. But one of my other horses, I'll just give you a quick story. I had a great horse called Star Spangled Banner, and he was our first big horse that won a Group 1 here in Australia and went overseas. And he won 4 Group 1s, but no one really liked the name when I named the horse. But the horse makes the name. You know, if they're a good horse and they win Group 1s, and they can be very plain names, but all of a sudden they end up, you know, top of the list. And Star Spangled Banner being out of a mare called Gold Anthem, I thought it really fitted the bill.
Well, I tell you what, we love that here in America, the Star Spangled Banner. We play it before every athletic contest. Maybe we can have a third career for Star Spangled Banner and send it over here to the Yanks, and we'll parade the horse around American football games.
Yeah, you might have to do a bit of an arm wrestle with Coolmore there. Yeah. And I think the insurance might be a bit high on him at the moment.
There you go. Hey, as an amateur, I'm looking at buying horses, and I'm seeing that there's obviously the bloodstock angle, then there's the trainer, then there's obviously the individual horse, the personality, and then, of course, there's providence, karma, fate, good old-fashioned luck. Is that fair to say those are 4 big components of the success or lack thereof of any particular equine?
Yeah, and I find, you know, luck's a major factor. Now, I've been in this industry for 20 years, and I find lucky people stay lucky and unlucky people stay unlucky. So I try to divert my way away from the unlucky people. But look, it is, you've got to have a lot of luck. But I find it's a risk mitigation is what we do. So we want to just limit the risk as far down the ladder as we can. And you do that by using the right people, the right breakers. You buy off the right people. You use the right vets. So use the right trainers. And that really doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees you're on the right path.
And Brad, even more broadly speaking, in Australia, you guys have done such a wonderful job using syndicates to, again, spread that risk over a number of owners. Do you think we're going to see that catching on more and more in America, the Middle East, Asia, Europe in the horse racing game?
I think it's the way of the future, AP. Like here in Australia, I think it's been the biggest growth area. We've seen prize money just go through the roof in recent years. And that's on the back of, I think, the syndication. It's really grown. And I think the quicker Europe and America can really grasp the fact that this is the future of racing, it'll be better for you guys. And I'm sure it will. And I'm seeing it here in Australia, even with the micro shares, which is big. You know, some people are buying 1/1000th of a horse, but they're still going to the track. They're enjoying their horse. It is theirs at the end of the day. So whether you got 1% or 100%, doesn't matter. You still got 100% of the fun.
1/1000th of a horse. That's one of the nails in one of the shoes, but it's still yours.
Exactly. And, you're buying passion at the end of the day.
Absolutely. There's, that's the thing, whether you own the New York Yankees and American baseball, or let me see if I can get something from your part of the world. Is it the New Zealand All Blacks? Is that
that's the rugby side.
Rugby
New Zealand.
side.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about fun and ego and passion and emotion. You're exactly right. And why do we compete? At the end of the day, these things aren't going to change the world, but it's about excellence and performance and dedication and teamwork. There's so many life lessons that we can draw from horse racing and other athletic endeavors.
100%. I've actually, Over here, we've got the AFL, which is the Australian Football League, and that's massive here in Australia. And obviously, they've got recruiters, and you've got to go and draft the right stock, and that's what I do. I'm very aligned with what the AFL do here. I'm judged on my draft every year.
And Brad, your background is unorthodox, and the Everest is unorthodox, and it seemingly came out of nowhere, just like a plumber coming out of nowhere. When you first heard about this race a little bit more than half a decade ago, what were your initial thoughts on the Everest and the slot holding and all that?
Yeah, look, being a racing purist, you look at history and you really like the time-honored races, but I suppose we're a little bit scared of change. And when change happens, you're a bit apprehensive. And I was at the start, but I've seen this race grow and grow and grow. And the excitement that Sydney have brought to this race is amazing. We've got the Melbourne Cup here in Melbourne, and that's been the biggest race in Australia. But I tell you what, the Everest is really eating into that market, and it's a whole different it's like a party atmosphere up there, and I'm really looking forward. I've spoken to people who've had runners and had winners, and they've sort of said, would you rather have a horse in the Melbourne Cup or the Everest? And they keep saying the Everest, so I can't wait to get up there and just take it all in.
Snapdancer, tell us a little bit about her personality. Is she going to own the room? Is she shy? Is she aloof? What is she like?
Got a great attitude, nice, cool, calm and collected away from the track. But when she gets on the track and she gets into that mounting yard and she gets on her toes and she likes to tell everyone she's the boss. So hopefully she can do that on Everest Day, get there nice and fresh, and she's got a great record up there. So we just can't wait.
So many technological advancements in the last quarter century. Here we are talking on different continents. How do you think if you do close a deal with Snapdancer to be in the Everest, is it going to be via phone, text, email, video conference, smoke signal, in person? How do you envision it going down?
Now, all of that above. We've done a few Zoom meetings, and there's some paperwork going backwards and forwards at the moment. So I'm sort of letting the viewers know it's just about there. But look, it's great. Obviously it's more of a business deal, and once your horse gets into a spot where they do put their hand up, you've got to get out there like a politician and lobby and let everyone know that she's good enough to get that next Everest slot. And I think there's only about 5 slots left, so it's getting down to the wire now. And I think we're very fortunate. We're very close.
Defending champion Nature's Trip is back for another go. Has had such a phenomenal year. Royal Ascot. How much pride do you guys as Aussies down under take in that horse?
Oh, he's a superstar. Yeah, look, whenever horses go over and compete at Royal Ascot or anywhere in the world, we all get on the coattails of these horses and cheer them on and stay up late and watch them. And I've been fortunate. Star Spangled Banner went over to Royal Ascot and won 2 races over there. And watching these horses and competing on the world stage it's what it's all about.
I know how competitive Aussies are as well, and so that's got to be another motivation, is to get your horse in there and have a chance to knock off Nature's Strip and the other 10 competitors too.
Yeah, look, if Nature's Strip turns up in his right form, and he'll get the job done. Simple as that. But it's just an honour to have a horse race in amongst Nature's Strip and Eduardo and Master Crusader and a few of the other better chances, and it's an honour, privilege, and just to be involved in it.
You told me before we started recording that you knew it was your destiny to do what you're doing now as being a bloodstock guy. If there's somebody out there watching and they think that they're not fulfilling what God had for them, their purpose in their life or their passion, what's your advice?
Chase your dream. Racing's very inclusive. Just pick up the phone, talk to a trainer, talk to an agent. They're only too happy to help out and pass on that knowledge. And that's what I did. So I'm now here because I chased my dream. And it's very easy to do. Obviously, there's a lot of hard work that's involved, but just to get your foot in the door, it's very easy in racing. It's very inclusive.
Brad, how often does a first-time buyer, let's take a mid-range guy, maybe he wants to spend $250,000 Australian on a horse, and that's a lot of money, but they might not realize that there's vet fees, travel, insurance, training, bloodstock consulting, etc. What's the ratio? Should I have another $250,000 to put on the side to make sure that I have everything else so I don't go bankrupt? And what's that ratio?
$250,000 is probably a good spot to start. I'd say it's about 40 to 50,000 a year to run a horse. So, if you're putting away another $250,000 on top of your initial buy-in, that'll last for your next 5 years. But hopefully you're buying a horse that's going to give you a return. So we always look at the positives, AP.
Absolutely. And Brad, we definitely want to visit with you again once you hopefully have locked in Snapdancer. But can you tell us right now how many folks or slot holders are you speaking with? Is it a couple? Is it 3 or 4? What is that number?
We started initially speaking to 3, and now we're honing in on 1. So it's very imminent, and I wish I could say more, but it's very confidential at the moment. So I have to keep my my excitement down here a little bit. But I can assure you, in the next day or two, you'll be hearing something.
Well, hey, that's a way to close it out right there. That is a nice last 100 meters to go for the victory. Brad Spicer, Managing Director of Spicer Thoroughbreds, looking forward to finding out where Snapdancer will land. This is the Everest Connections, and we certainly appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks, AP. Lovely to chat.